Every night, millions of adults over 65 do exactly what they've been told to do. They turn off the screens an hour before bed. They keep the bedroom cool and dark. They avoid caffeine after 2 in the afternoon. They follow the sleep hygiene checklist faithfully, sometimes for years. And they still lie awake at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, watching the clock, wondering why the rest that used to come so easily now feels completely out of reach. If that's you or someone you love, I want to ask you something gently. What if it's not a habit problem? What if it's a chemistry problem? And what if that chemistry problem has a solution that costs less than $1 a day and is almost certainly not something your doctor has sat down to talk through with you? I'm Dr. Megan Foster, and this channel is about one thing: taking the research on aging and health and translating it into information you can actually use. Today, I want to talk about magnesium. Specifically, what happens to magnesium levels as we age, why that directly affects sleep quality in ways the science now makes very clear, and what you can do about it starting tonight. If you're not subscribed yet, please take a moment to do that now. We publish new research every week, and what's coming next week on blood pressure and a specific dietary pattern is something you will not want to miss. Let's start with the biology, because once you understand what's actually happening, everything else falls into place. Magnesium is involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. But for our purposes today, the one that matters most is its relationship with a receptor in the brain called the NMDA receptor, which just means a docking station that controls how easily your nervous system stays in a state of alert. Here's the thing: magnesium acts as a natural blocker on that receptor. When magnesium levels are adequate, it essentially quiets the stay awake and pay attention signal in the brain. When magnesium levels drop, that signal doesn't get quieted. The nervous system stays slightly activated, and sleep, particularly deep, restorative sleep, becomes harder to reach and harder to maintain. Now here's where aging enters the picture. Research published in the journal Nutrients found that magnesium absorption from food decreases significantly with age, while the kidneys simultaneously excrete more of it. What that means in practice is that even if you're eating a diet that would have kept your magnesium levels perfectly balanced at 40, that same diet may not be enough at 65 or 70. Researchers at the University of Hertfordshire found that upwards of 70% of older adults in Western countries consume less magnesium than their bodies require. 70%. And the symptoms of mild to moderate magnesium deficiency don't announce themselves loudly. They look exactly like what most people attribute to normal aging. Restless sleep, waking between 2 and 4 in the morning, difficulty returning to sleep once you've woken, muscle cramps at night, a low-grade anxious feeling in the evening that makes it hard to wind down. What's interesting is that for decades, those symptoms were filed under just getting older, and the science has now moved well past that. A double-blind, placebo-controlled study out of the University of Medical Sciences in Tabriz followed a group of older adults with insomnia for 8 weeks. The group that received magnesium supplementation showed significant improvements in sleep onset time, sleep efficiency, and how often they woke during the night. And the mechanism tracks perfectly with what we now understand about that NMDA receptor and the brain's natural quieting process. Think of it this way. Imagine your nervous system at night is like a room full of people having conversations. Magnesium is the dimmer switch. When the dimmer is working properly, the room gradually quiets. When the dimmer is broken, or in this case, when magnesium levels are insufficient, the conversations keep going at the same volume no matter how dark you make the room or how cool you keep the temperature. Sleep hygiene habits matter, genuinely, but if the chemistry isn't there, the habits can only do so much. I want to tell you about 2 people I've worked with, because the research becomes real when you see it in actual lives. The first is Robert, a 71-year-old retired engineer from outside of Edinburgh. Robert came in describing what he called fractured sleep. He'd fall asleep without much trouble, but consistently wake around 2:30 and be unable to return to sleep for an hour or more. He was exhausted. He'd tried everything on the standard sleep hygiene list. His diet was genuinely good. Lots of vegetables, fish, whole grains. But when we looked at his actual magnesium intake against his body's requirements at his age, he was falling short. We made one change. A simple magnesium glycinate supplement, 300 milligrams taken about an hour before bed. Within 3 weeks, Robert reported his nighttime wakings had dropped from nearly every night to once or twice a week. Within 6 weeks, he was sleeping through consistently. "I feel like I've got my brain back," he told me. And the reason he saw results connects directly to everything we've just discussed. We weren't introducing something foreign. We were restoring a chemical balance that age had quietly eroded. The second person is Margaret, 68, from the west coast of Canada. Margaret's issue was sleep onset. She could lie awake for 45 minutes to an hour before finally drifting off, and she described an almost wired feeling in the evenings, a sense of being tired but unable to switch off. She was also experiencing leg cramps that would wake her once or twice a week. Both, as it turns out, are classic presentations of magnesium insufficiency. Margaret began with a dietary approach first, adding pumpkin seeds, dark leafy greens, and dark chocolate to her regular eating pattern, and then added a low-dose supplement to ensure she was reaching adequate levels. Within a month, the sleep onset time had dropped to under 15 minutes on most nights, and the leg cramps had stopped almost entirely. "I stopped dreading bedtime," she said. "That's not a small thing." Now, before I go further, I want to address something, because I hear this question constantly, and it's completely reasonable. What about laxative effects? Isn't magnesium known for causing digestive upset? The answer is, it depends entirely on the form. And this is where the "not all magnesium is the same" conversation becomes genuinely important. Magnesium oxide, the cheapest, most commonly sold form, is poorly absorbed and does have a notable laxative effect. That's not what we're talking about here. Magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate are both highly bioavailable forms that are well tolerated by the gastrointestinal system and have been specifically studied for their effects on sleep and neurological function. Magnesium threonate, developed by researchers at MIT, has the additional ability to cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively than other forms, meaning it reaches the very receptor we've been discussing more efficiently. These are the forms the sleep research has focused on, and they're the ones worth knowing about. Let me be specific about the practical protocol, because vagueness helps no one. The research supports a daily dose of 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or threonate for adults over 60, taken approximately 60 minutes before your intended sleep time. A 30-day supply of a quality magnesium glycinate supplement runs between $15 and $25, which works out to somewhere between 50 cents and 80 cents a day. For context, that's roughly 2 full months of nightly supplementation for the cost of a single specialist copay. If you prefer a food-first approach or want to supplement dietary intake before adding a capsule, the highest concentration food sources are pumpkin seeds, which offer around 150 milligrams per ounce, spinach, dark chocolate with 70% or higher cacao content, almonds, and black beans. Incorporating 2 or 3 of those foods daily can meaningfully close the gap that aging physiology creates, though many people find a combination of dietary improvement and a modest supplement produces the most consistent results. As with any supplement protocol, and I want to be clear about this, it's worth a conversation with your own physician, particularly if you have kidney disease, since the kidneys are responsible for magnesium regulation, or if you're taking medications that interact with magnesium levels, including certain diuretics and antibiotics. For most healthy older adults, the safety profile of magnesium at these doses is excellent, and the research is reassuring. But your individual health picture matters, and your doctor should be part of that conversation. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Poor sleep after 65 is real, it's common, and it is not simply what aging looks like. For a significant proportion of people, it has a specific, addressable biochemical cause. A quiet depletion of a mineral the body needs more than ever and absorbs less efficiently than it used to. The research now gives us the mechanism, the evidence, and a practical, affordable protocol. That's not a small thing. Your sleep 4 months from now can feel genuinely different. Not because of a dramatic intervention, but because of one targeted, consistent change that works with your body's own chemistry rather than around it. I'd love to hear from you now. Comment below and tell me, have you noticed changes in your sleep quality over the past 5 to 10 years? And what, if anything, have you tried? This community pays close attention to what actually works for real people, and your experience matters here.